Hey folks, just starting out here with a cold open. A bit of an apology. We had a bit of a problem with the video file for this episode. So the first quarter of the episode, in which we talk about Star Trek Red Shirts number 2, does not have video. But after that, we do have video of Brandi and I talking about the comics that came out in September. So apologies for that, but bear with us through the episode. The video does come on after that first issue. Thanks for watching and enjoy the episode. Welcome everybody to another episode of Positively Trek. I'm Dan Gunther, and this is a comics episode. So with me is the wonderful, the amazing, the fresh from FanX in Salt Lake City, Brandi Jackala. Brandi, how's it going?
I hurt from the waist down. Other than that, I'm fine. Too much walking on concrete floors and too much walking in general. I am too old for this.
Oh man, the plaintive cry of the more seasoned Star Trek fans among us, as Deanna would say.
True, yes. But that's what 12 years of going to conventions will do to you.
Yeah,
you get old and you can't get around like you used to. It's just.
I hear ya.
Yeah.
But we can't really do much more in this episode until you tell us all what it was like meeting Doug Jones and
and Jerry O'Connell.
And Jerry O'Connell, thank you. Yeah. It's late and I'm tired and I've been sick for a week.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. Well, Paul Wesley was supposed to be at the convention, and then he canceled. Well, first he was supposed to be there on Thursday, and then they said no, he was moved to Saturday, and then on Saturday they said no, he canceled. But Jerry O'Connell came on Saturday only, and he's just like, well, I can't be here tomorrow. And I'm like, dude, the convention is not going tomorrow. This is Utah. We're full of Mormons who don't break the Sabbath, okay? But Doug Jones, if you ever get the chance to meet Doug Jones, take it, and always make sure you also get a selfie, because that man is a glorious, effervescent, not worthy of this planet being. And he will make your day, maybe even your life. Aww. He is just fantastic and just kind and just funny and just happy to be there.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. It was even more amazing than I thought it was going to be, because I started with getting emotional, because that's my thing. And he was just like, and I'm just like, look, my empathy and my emotions are always dialed up to 11. And he puts his hand on mine and says, and that's just who you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, But
that's awesome.
The best part was when I told him that I remembered, I was old enough to remember the Mac at Night commercials, because he was the guy with the giant moon head playing the piano, singing. And he said, that's not possible. There's no way you are old enough for that. And I said, sir, I am 52. And he said, you look like you're 32. And I'm like, I love you forever.
There you go. That's the sign of an amazing quality person. Absolutely.
Yeah. It was wonderful. I got to express all of my feelings about how great he was at playing Saru on Star Trek Discovery, and how he could bring forth so much emotion through all of that prosthetic work on his body, and just make you feel so many things. And he said, thank you so much for that. Thank you for noticing that, because that's what I was going for. And I'm like, oh, you succeeded admirably. So, and then when we had the selfie, he's like, no, we're going to do 3 pictures. Okay. So we had one with a regular pose, one with us holding each other's cheeks. And then he made Dave get in there for us to all do the Vulcan salute. So
nice.
Yeah, he was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. Everything I've seen of him is just, he seems like the nicest person.
He is. He is exactly as you think he will be, except more.
Aw.
He's better than you can possibly imagine. And Jerry O'Connell, he came just for the one day, which is fantastic. I appreciate that he would be willing to do that. And we had to wait a while for him, not too long, because we got there at 11 and he wasn't there. And then we found out that his flight had been delayed, and that's obviously not his fault.
Mm-hmm.
And they were hoping he would be there. It would possibly be around 1. It was actually 12:15 when he got there.
Nice.
And he's taller than I expected. Because his wife, Rebecca Romaine, is extremely tall as well. And I think she's a little bit taller than he is. So she's got to be 6 feet, if not slightly over. But he was just so adorable. And of course, everybody knew him from Sliders, and we knew him from Lower Decks. And I didn't actually know he was going to be there because the con communication was not great. I said, if I knew you were going to be here, I would have worn my Ritos shirt. I would have brought a Lower Decks comic for you to sign. And he's like, wait, there's Lower Decks comics? And he's just like, you watch Strange New Worlds, right? That's the one you really got to keep your eyes on. I'm like, dude, my man, I watch all the Star Trek. But he's just like, yeah, did you see that season finale and the stuff that was going on there? And I said, yes, I saw the flirting. Yes, I did. And he's just like, exciting things coming up. Gotta keep your eye on the show. It's so good. You know, my wife's on that show.
So sweet.
I know. He's just talking about Strange New Worlds. And I'm saying, you should have 7 seasons of Lower Decks.
Oh, that's funny.
And yeah, we had a selfie with him too. It's just so those that were the 2 Star Trek people that I got to meet.
Yeah.
The only 2 Star Trek people that were there. So and I'm not disappointed either way. I would meet again. 10 out of 10 for both.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's a good segue actually, because the Lower Decks comic we're going to talk about this week makes fun of his character a bit, which has been a bit of a hallmark of this series of late. So. But yeah, so I guess, we'll jump into the comics here. We have 4 issues of various series to talk about this month. So, we've got quite a bit to get to. We have Star Trek Red Shirts number 2, Star Trek Voyager Homecoming number 1. So a new miniseries there. Star Trek Lower Decks 11. And then the one I'm really looking forward to, I feel like we're going to save the best for last here. Star Trek The Last Starship number 1. I have things to say about this.
I do too. You'll probably have better things to say about it, but I'm ready to go.
I'm excited.
No. I'm not saying better as in bad or good. I'm just saying you're probably going to be more eloquent than I am.
Oh, I doubt that. I doubt that.
We'll see.
Well, a little bit about how we're going to structure these episodes. If this is your first comic episode that you're joining us for, dear listener, what we do is kind of just a quick summary of the issue and then talk about it for each of the issues. Probably not spending a ton of time on each one, given that there's 4 this month. So let's jump right in. So the first one that came out this month on September 3rd was Star Trek Red Shirts number 2, written by Christopher Cantwell with art by Megan Levins. So in issue 1, they set up this whole Operation Squawk Box mission. We already lost 2 crew members of this group of 11 red shirts. They're already down to 9 just from arriving on the planet. And in this issue, the remaining team members are stuck waiting at this antenna array for these mystery spies to take this bait they've set out for them, because someone's been stealing information from this antenna and they're baiting with really valuable intelligence, and they're waiting for someone to come along and steal it so they can find out who they are. So our kind of main character, I think, is Miller. And he's kind of lost in reverie. He's remembering his time spent abandoned on the planet Neural after having lost the rest of his landing party to the Magato. He's not in good shape mentally at this point, I think. He is kind of the opinion that Starfleet just does not care about its security people and leaves them to die. Is he right? I mean, the evidence is in his favor.
A little bit. At least
bit.
a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe more than a little bit. Maybe a lot.
Yeah.
At least a little bit.
It's not good. So we also have Ensign Zaina Rad, who has been introduced to us as Earth's current kickboxing champion, and Lieutenant Zachary, who's an Arconian. They spend their downtime sparring a little bit with each other. And meanwhile, the bait is taken, and these two helmeted figures show up, who are a scouting party, along with 4 more who are infiltrating the antenna to take this bait that they've set. So the team is sent to track the scouting party, and they are quickly attacked by what Lieutenant Cromartie calls Johnny Boy. We later find out is a creature called an Arak, this big, massive insect or crustacean or something. So, okay, we've got our first death of this issue when Lieutenant Cromartie, the veteran guy who's been stuck on this planet for quite a while, is pretty brutally injured by this thing. He's kind of slashed across the stomach. But then mere seconds later, he's shot in the head by one of these spies. He does not have a good time with this. I've got to say, just as a little interjection here, this is the one that surprised me. Like, I kind of expected him to be a little bit of a carry through.
A through line? Yeah.
Yeah. Nope. He's done.
No, they're making a statement here. No one's safe. No one is safe.
No, not even the spies, who we know, by the way, are Romulans, but the team doesn't know this because this big bug then kills the Romulan, just bites him in half, basically. He's gone. Miller was about to be shot by the Romulan, sees this happen in front of him. He runs. I think that's understandable. Zachary, who's an Arconian, and they're on Arconia 89, is familiar with this creature. And interestingly enough, he says that an Arconian bite is fatal to it. So his plan, and when I say this is a big bug, this is like the size of like a train locomotive or like it's huge. So Zachary is apparently going to try and bite it. And he attempts to do so, but is very quickly killed very gruesomely by the creature. And then from there, Miller, Rod, Vesta, and Borvik, 4 members of the team, make it back to the outpost. But just before he can seal the hatch, Borvik, the Vulcan member of the team, is impaled by the Arak. He's a Vulcan, like I said. He dies, and his last words are that he is scared, which that made me very sad.
Me too.
So the team manages to scramble the transporter signals for a certain radius, preventing the spies from immediately getting away. They detect the Romulan ship in orbit, but they do not recognize it as such. I'm wondering if this is like before Balance of Terror, maybe? That's my guess. I can't remember if we know when this takes place, but
not that I recall. I don't think we've been given anything other than a star date, which is unhelpful as far as figuring out what year it is. So yeah, no, I don't think we have any idea what time frame this is in yet.
Okay. That's my theory so far, I think.
Yeah.
But if readers are paying closer attention and have caught something that I missed, I'm sure they will let us know. I'm sure. Lieutenant Demetrio orders Miller, Rod, and Vesta to gear up to pursue the spies before they can get out of the transporter interference. They are climbing up the antenna, and the team's unable to hit them from the ground, so they climb up after them. In orbit, the Romulan commander, Revo, who, if you've read the ongoing Star Trek series that Christopher Cantwell and Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly did, you'd be familiar with that name. So this commander orders weapons fire on the antenna array, putting his own people in danger. The huge explosion knocks Rod off the tower, caught at the last second by Miller, hanging in midair as debris burns and falls around them. To be continued.
Wow. Just Wow.
What a ride.
Yeah. This is one of those situations where I feel like their superiors knew more than they were telling. And that information could probably have saved a lot of lives.
Yeah.
But instead, they just throw people at it.
Yeah. Well, it's clear, for example, that like this antenna array is doing more than collecting solar wind data, which is the official line. But if that's the case, why would the Romulans be after it? Like it's obviously there's something else going on here. If that's all that was being stolen, why would Starfleet care, etc., right? So
yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but it goes high up. I know that much.
So a series like this, I want to ask things like, who's your favorite character? But boy.
No, I'm not going to answer that. They'll just die in the next issue.
Yeah, exactly. Do not get attached to any of these characters because basically when they killed Cromartie as the first casualty in this issue, I was like, oh, okay, well, nobody's safe. And like, even in my mind, I'm kind of thinking, well, I think probably Miller is safe for a while, but maybe not. Like he's our audience surrogate character. Like we get his diary at the beginning of each issue and stuff. So that makes me think that he's going to be a through line, but like maybe not. Like they could really just pull something crazy on this. So I don't know.
I feel like, I don't know, they could pull the rug out from under us, but I feel like they gave us this character as our point of view. So we are watching this character somehow keep surviving all of this crazy stuff. And by the time this series is over, he is going to be in an asylum somewhere.
Yeah.
Because there is only so much a person can take, regardless of what race you are, regardless of what gender you are, what religious beliefs you have. There's only so much you can take. And I think he's going to get pushed beyond the limit.
Yeah, because on his mission where he was abandoned on that planet, like he saw his 2 science officers and commanding officer all get killed in front of him. In this issue, all 3 deaths that happen right in front of him. He witnesses all of them, and they're brutal. Like they are not tame deaths.
Yeah, they're explicitly drawn, absolutely explicitly drawn.
Mm-hmm. So we also have Lieutenant Dematrio, who's the commanding officer here. And it's obvious that she had like a pretty deep relationship with Lieutenant Cromartie. And I'm feeling like that's compromising her a little bit here. Like she hands Miller a bag of grenades and is like, put one down that creature's throat and tell him it's for Cromartie or something. And I'm like, ooh, this doesn't feel like the reasoned and thoughtful order of a commanding officer.
Nope, that's revenge right there.
Yeah, but it's, again, just like shoving another red shirt out the door to do that.
I know, just like, what? What are you doing? These are people. These are sentient beings. Stop throwing them at problems.
So the last thing, I guess, that I would want to say is Commander Revo, right? We learned in the Star Trek Defiant series, I think. He is the general that fathers Sela with Tasha Yar, I believe. If I'm remembering correct.
That's
General
what
Revo.
I remember.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And also being given orders by a shadowy character whose identity we don't see as well is interesting.
Yeah.
So somebody from the Tal Shiar, he talks about, you risk killing my operatives down there. So that sounds Tal Shiar-ish for sure.
Oh, it really does. Yeah.
So any final thoughts on this issue? What did you think of it? Do we do ratings? I guess we kind of do ratings. What would your rating for this one be?
This one is such a gut punch.
I
And
feel like they're going to be.
yeah, that's going to just get worse, I'm sure. Because they kind of held our hand in that first issue, and now it's just like, okay, now that you're in, bam. So this one is just even more graphic than I expected. That's not a complaint. I don't have a problem with graphic comics. But with it being Star Trek, it just hurts my heart to see all these people just instantly killed, never had a chance, especially people that we saw in issue 1 and thought would last a lot longer. It's not like I didn't enjoy isn't the right word. How do I explain this? I appreciated this comic. I'm invested in this comic. I want to know what happens. I want to see how Miller is going to survive all of this, if he's going to survive all of this, and if he doesn't and they switch the main character, they could do anything. Mm-hmm. But I am invested in this. I want to know what's going on. And I want these poor security people to stop dying. But I don't think that's actually going to be part of the thing. So I would give this one bag of grenades to throw down the throat of that big bug that killed Cromartie.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this series in a perverse way, I guess, maybe. Mm-hmm. It's really well done. It's horrific, honestly, but
it is. It's like Star Trek horror for sure.
Yeah, but they don't make any pretensions about that, I think. No. You're meant to know that going in. You get the tone pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm digging it. I'm liking these characters. Again, I'm trying not to get too attached to any of them, really. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm going to give it one shadowy Romulan giving orders.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. That's very fitting.
We are moving on now to the second issue that also came out on September 3rd. This is Star Trek Voyager Homecoming #1. Written by Susan Bridges and Tilly Bridges, and art by Angel Hernandez. So a new miniseries. If you hadn't been tracking the little pre-release for this, it takes place basically after the final moments of Endgame, just as Voyager is getting home from the Delta Quadrant, kind of giving us the story that people might have wanted to see, I guess, when it said executive producers and it faded out and you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, that was the most abrupt series ender ever in Star Trek. Ugh.
Well, we get it a little bit more drawn out here. So Voyager has just arrived back in the Alpha Quadrant, as seen, as I said, at the end of the final episode, Endgame. There's a bit of a reminiscing about Voyager's time in the Delta Quadrant. We kind of get a quick 2 or 3 page little highlights of the journey, basically, talking about the feelings and getting home and all of that. Just as an entourage of 4 admirals enters the bridge. So we get some introductions to some characters. Some of them are a little bit colder than others, I'd say. Admiral Paris's reaction to 7 of 9 is kind of stilted. There might be reasons for that we'll find out later, though.
Oh, there absolutely will be.
A little clue there at the start that is interesting.
That actually caught my attention immediately, and I'm like, that ain't right.
The first time I read it, I was more in the mind of them setting things up for what we see in Picard, and the fact that she wasn't allowed in Starfleet. And it's like, oh yeah, there's a very strong anti-Borg sentiment through the upper brass in Starfleet. Oh, that's not all this is, though. There's something else there. So yeah, they order all of the ship's logs to be turned over, and Captain Janeway turns command of Voyager over to Admiral Paris. And I'm sure that'll work out all well. Janeway retires to her ready room to have kind of one last cup of coffee from her replicator. But she is soon interrupted by Harry, who tells her that he's been locked out of ship systems. command functions have been rerouted to engineering, apparently. And it seems that one of the admirals in the group, Admiral Kittum, might be behind all of this. There's some suspicion that he might be a changeling, given, the recent Dominion War and stuff, right? So thinking that might be something that's going on. Tuvok, meanwhile, finds that his condition is worsening. So that was one of the reasons Voyager had to get back quicker than it did in the first timeline, because Tuvok has that degenerative neural disease that requires a mind meld with a close family member. So that seems to be worsening. He's ordered to sickbay. In sickbay, Admiral Paris meets his daughter-in-law and granddaughter for the first time. Blood test, though, rules him out as a changeling, so he's above suspicion right now. Captain Janeway contacts Admiral Kittum to ask what's happening to her ship, but he says it's classified. The Doctor attempts to get him and his team to come to sickbay, which he doesn't succeed in, but the Admiral tells the Doctor to meet him and his team in engineering. So I kind of liked this ruse that they just had a half Klingon, half human child born, which the Doctor says causes Klingon blood flu to become airborne. So it was a nice little ruse. So he goes to engineering, gives them all an inoculation against Klingon blood flu and tests their blood. Meanwhile, B'Elanna attempts to thwart their takeover while they're being distracted by the Doctor. The readings the Doctor took of them are off in some way. He can't quite put his finger on it, though. But he does eventually discover that they are, dun dun dun, species 8472 in disguise. So the crew members arm themselves, and Janeway goes into Ripley mode. She takes off her jacket.
Yes! I love Janeway Ripley.
And they storm engineering. So during the ensuing firefight, the Doctor discovers that Admiral Paris is also a species 8472. And they have taken Voyager into fluidic space as they plan to invade Earth. To be continued again.
Damn it. Can't these poor people just go home?
Right?
They get home, and now they're not going home.
No.
How much more can you heap on these poor people? Oh, man. Yeah, I actually, personally, had a bad feeling about the admirals from the start. Didn't think about species 8472.
No, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, that
sure.
was not in the running at all. But I thought, well, that could be mind control. They could be some kind of clone. They could be a changeling. Something weird is going on here. I don't know. And then, of course, when they get locked out of ship systems, I'm like, yeah, they're bad. They're all bad. Even Paris is bad. I could bet money on it, because I can't believe that 4 of them would come aboard and only 1 of them would be on the level. No, that's not happening. So, but yeah, I was actually totally taken by surprise with species 8472. And going into fluidic space. And now, yeah, basically we're going to have a lot of fighting coming on, I'm sure. And so, yeah, basically, species 8472 is the alien and everybody else is Ripley, and we'll see how it goes.
For me, it was the moment that the Doctor was saying that they shared a lot of DNA with Chakotay, and they're reading like their close relatives. And something in there, right when Chakotay was like, Doctor, run a multicellular scan. I was like, what's he thinking? Oh, and my brain remembered that he was the one that was captured by 8472 in that episode In the Flesh, I think. And
I forgot about that. Dang.
Yeah, that's where I was like, oh, is it? And then, yeah, sure enough. And Doctor goes, oh no. And yeah.
Yeah. The thing, I could hear their voices in my head. When I read comics, Star Trek comics, I can hear any voice, any person that I've seen on screen, I can hear their voice in my head. So it's quite a comfort for me to actually be able to do that.
And this is written very well as well,
Yes,
as far as
yes,
capturing
yes.
their voices, for sure. Just even little things like Janeway going to the ready room and sitting down with her coffee and Harry calling her. And I could almost just see Janeway like, go ahead. You know, what is it now? Oh crap. Okay.
Yeah.
I did find that hilarious when they're just like handing out phaser rifles and Janeway's like, hang on, take off that jacket.
Yeah. Well, first of all, she needs to be able to move freely. And second of all, you know, she got some guns on those arms. I'm telling you.
You know, one of the action figures that Nacelle Company is putting out in there, I think it's the second wave, is actually Janeway in her tank top from Year of Hell specifically. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I do have a Janeway shirt that is red, and it's got Janeway on it, and it's from Macrocosm, and it says, "Grab a phaser. We're going to get some answers."
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Generally, I enjoyed this. There's a lot going on, though. Like, it moves. It does feel like, you know, we get a little bit of a breather of them coming home, and then it's just like right back into it immediately. So like you, I was kind of like, don't they get a break? Come on.
Just a little one. Just a tiny one.
Yeah.
You know, have a nice reunion dinner or something. Just
something.
Yeah,
and also like
something.
In retrospect, learning that wasn't the moment that Admiral Paris actually got to meet his granddaughter and his daughter-in-law, I'm like, oh, dang it. But I also did kind of like that, like, he immediately hugged Tom, and Tom's like, something's wrong here.
Yeah, I know. It's like, no.
And
No.
Like, the first time I read it, in my mind, I was thinking like, well, yeah, he got lost on the other side of the galaxy for 7 years. Like, that would change things. But yeah, no, never mind.
One could hope. In my heart of hearts, I imagined that reunion as Admiral Paris still being Admiral Paris, but absolutely melting over his grandbaby.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I generally enjoyed this. I'm kind of curious where it's going to go next. It almost is a little bit over the top for me, but like, okay, I'll go along with the ride. I love the artwork. I love the way they captured the characters' voices. So I'm going to give this one, I think, one big fleet of Species 8472 ships, except we need I hope we learn a canon, well, not a canon name, it's a comic, but I hope we learn a different name for them in this comic rather than calling them Species 8472 all the time. I know Star Trek Online, I think, calls them the Undine or something like that, but...
Okay, well, I don't play Star Trek Online because it frustrates the hell out of me.
Fair enough.
I enjoyed this as well. I feel like it's kind of... Yes, it's a bit over the top, but at the same time, that's kind of in keeping with Voyager as a whole, as a series. So I didn't really have a problem with that. I was dismayed that these people weren't on the level, and now they're not home. And I'm going to give this one unseen Janeway eye roll as Harry Kim interrupts her coffee.
I love it. That's perfect. Well, let's take a quick break there, and when we come back, we'll jump into the final 2 issues from September. As always, Positively Trek is brought to you by its Patreon supporters, including Joyce Mirren, Brandi Jacala, Christina DeClercq-Zalagi, John Guppy, Out of Memory, Patrick Carlin, and Ricky Long. If you'd like to support the podcast, visit patreon.com/positivelytrek. You can join at any level and enjoy early access to episodes, ad-free episodes, episode shoutouts, executive producer credits, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/positivelytrek. Thank you so much to those of you supporting us. We truly do appreciate it. And now, back to the show. So next up, we have Star Trek Lower Decks number 11. That came out on September 10th, written by Tim Sheridan with art by Philip Murphy. This one is the launching of a new story arc. So this isn't a continuation of something previous. It's a new story, and it's titled Again with the Whales. we have the Cerritos en route to the LAP system for second contact with the Leperians.
Yes.
You can see the episode First Contact for their first contact. However, the Cerritos doesn't arrive in the system when they expected to, and Rutherford and Billups discover that someone's been tampering with the warp field generator, introducing unplanned deviations into their course. So their course changes again, and the crew seems to be locked out of the controls. They trace the control of the Cerritos back to Cetacean Ops, where Matt and Kamolu have apparently taken over the ship. And according to them, it isn't a mutiny, but rather a highly classified covert Starfleet operation. They're asking what this is all about, so Matt and Kamolu give basically a recap of the events of Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home, in which Kirk and company take the Klingon bird of prey back in time to 1986 to bring a pair of humpback whales forward in time to repopulate the species. However, they reveal that George and Gracie, after coming to the future, only ever had one calf, Ronald, or Ronnie for short. And because Ronnie's not going to make it with his mother, in the words of Matt and Kamolu, not my words, that's their words.
Their words, yep.
Their words. They've been tasked with going back in time again to bring a bunch more humpback whales forward to introduce more genetic diversity, more whales, more females, more calves able to be birthed, etc. So yeah, they have to go back to the 1980s to do this. Captain Freeman agrees. By the way, Admiral Flippy of Covert Cetacean Ops was the admiral who ordered them to do this. Captain Freeman would have preferred consultation, but she will agree to do this. The Cerritos does a time warp around a red giant star, and after a sufficiently weird time travel sequence a la the floating heads of Star Trek IV, the Cerritos succeeds in arriving in the year 1985. So the year before Kirk and company arrive in 1980s Earth. So interesting. To be continued as they beam down to a street in San Francisco.
I'm sorry, when this Admiral Flippy, I just think, is that a descendant of Flipper, the beloved dolphin from
could be
from television? Just
could be.
I'm just making that connection in my head. It's not canon, guys.
Now I'm wondering though, like, is Sequest DSV in the Star Trek universe, and could it be a descendant of Darwin?
Fair. That is fair. Because, yeah,
there's a reference for our older fans.
Yeah. Oh, I watched Sequest DSV. Yes, I did. I hadn't thought of that. Interesting. Interesting. Now I have to add that into my possible headcanon. Yeah, this one made me laugh out loud multiple times, and I am so happy about it because I have not been very happy about the last couple of issues of this series, and I feel like the fun is coming back into it, and it's not so. It's ridiculous. It's Lower Decks, but it's not. It's good ridiculous instead of just I don't care ridiculous. This is just this doesn't speak to me at all. This doesn't feel like our crew. And it feels like our crew again to me. So that's my personal feeling on this. Other people may have different opinions on that, but I felt once the writers changed that it just wasn't the same tone anymore. It didn't catch my attention as much. It didn't make me laugh. And this is a definite 180, I feel, and I'm happy for it. And that shot when they beamed down onto Earth and Shax is in the white robe with the bandana across his face to hide his Bajoran nose. Oh my God. I laughed for 5 minutes about that.
Also the fact that, what's his name? The bald dude who worships Ransom.
Stevens
Stevens has the Frankie Says Relax t-shirt on. That was great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed this one. I have to say the first time I read it, I think I was kind of like, I don't know, in not the best mood or something. So I was like, oh, there's still things bugging me. They're a California class ship. They wouldn't be picked for a mission of this importance, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever. The second time I read it, I actually enjoyed it a lot more. The voices, I think, are captured a lot better here. I started to really like the fact that they kept making fun of Ransom for going to Barcelona State University.
No, that's Barcelona.
Barcelona State.
Barcelona State. Barcelona State.
And they keep making fun of him throughout it. He's like, well, maybe the problem with the warp drive is with the Heisenberg compensators. And they're like, that's a part of the transporter, says Barcelona State. Oh, right. Poor guy. The dream sequence too, by the way, when they go back in time and the heads all morph into different... Brilliant. I'm going to shout out a YouTube channel, by the way, fairly new YouTube channel just in the last year called All Trek is Good Trek, I think.
I've heard of that.
He's good. He does really good, I think, video essays about Star Trek. And he did one about Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, which was like, how did this movie get made? It's wild. Like, it's nuts. And like, I don't know, like we grew up with it and it's been a part of Star Trek for so long. But yeah, it's a crazy movie. What the heck is that dream sequence? Why is the weird thing? What's going on there? They're just okay giving this guy transparent aluminum. It's like, why? How do we know he didn't invent it? Yeah, that's a good enough explanation. What? That's crazy. Yeah, Star Trek 4 is insane. And it's great. It's one of my favorite movies ever.
Agree 100%. I probably watched it 100 times.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's my most watched Star Trek movie, probably.
I would say that for me, it's a tie between that and The Undiscovered Country, because I really like the undiscovered. Why can't I say undiscovered? Undiscovered country.
Undiscovered?
Not undiscovered. Undiscovered. I kept saying undiscovered. Undiscovered country. So
I think that is actually my favorite film is Star Trek 6 for sure. So
it actually is mine too. It was the fourth one until Star Trek 6 happened. And that one just really did it for me. It had everything. Yeah.
Well, final thoughts, anything we haven't talked about / rating for Again with the Whales?
I really enjoyed this issue. I felt like it was a return to form, and it felt like our characters again. It felt like our crew again. And so I'm really happy about that. Of course, it's a ridiculous premise because that's what Lower Decks does. And I have no problem with that whatsoever. I can't wait to see what happens. I do think because it's a California class ship that they were perfect for this mission, because if they failed, no one would know. So... no one would know. They'd just be like, oh, it's just California class ship. Nobody cares about them. So that actually made sense to me. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Again, laughed out loud more than once, but especially that end picture with Shax. I was just like, what is he? Oh, the nose.
That is
and then
great.
There's a part of me that's like, you're a more advanced ship than the Enterprise that went back in time. So couldn't you have temporarily changed the nose? But no, he's wearing the bandana like he's a superhero to cover the nose. It just, just funny little things like that tickled me.
Yeah.
So I will give this one whale who doesn't want to make it with his mother.
That's fair. Absolutely. Speaking, this is going to be a weird segue, but bear with me. Speaking of not wanting to make it with your mother, Did you notice that Boimler is dressed like Marty McFly?
Yes! Yes, I did! They were paying homage to a lot of time travel things in that one panel.
So good.
Oh, yeah.
Mariner and Freeman with their very impressive shoulder pads as well is really nice to see. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought the visual gags are great. I thought the jokes actually landed a lot of the times in this one. I really appreciated it. A return to form a bit, like you said. So for me, I'm going to give this one 2 of those Spock helmets with the light on top worn by Kamolu and Matt.
That was another thing that I laughed for a solid minute. I just couldn't stop.
If you follow Dayton Ward on Facebook, I think he changed his banner to the 2 of them wearing those helmets. His like front page banner. It's great.
Perfect, because Dayton Ward is a god among
Absolutely.
men. Also one of those people that if you ever get the chance to meet him, do it.
100%. Well, from there, let's move on to the final comic of the month of September, Star Trek The Last Starship, number 1. Came out on September 24th, written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, with art by Adrian Banila. So this is one I would say has been a bit of a long-anticipated one since they announced it. I'll just read the summary that I wrote up of this because this is quite the story. After 9 centuries, the United Federation of Planets has nearly united the entire galaxy. The last holdout is the Gorn. And today, Captain Delacorte Sato of the USS Sagan is imploring the Gorn to join or face complete isolation from the rest of the galaxy. The Gorn acquiesce and elect to join the Federation, finally uniting the entire Milky Way galaxy. However, at that moment, the burn happens. For the burn, see Season 3 of Star Trek Discovery. At the last second, the engineer, a Tholian named Silic, saves the captain and 3 others by beaming their patterns to a torpedo to escape the destruction of the Sagan. Back on Earth, Captain Sato attends a meeting of what remains of Starfleet. 96% of the fleet has been lost. The projection is that the Federation will dissolve within a year. Captain Sato, however, gives an impassioned speech saying that this is not the end of the Federation, and he intends to launch with a new vessel equipped with transwarp drive. And that's when the Borg Queen appears. Now, no, not that Borg Queen. See Star Trek Picard Season 2. This is Agnes Girardi and her Borg cooperative, not the Borg collective. So the Borg Queen, Agnes Girardi, agrees to provide transwarp technology in exchange for access to a specimen aboard Daystrom Station. See Season 3 of Star Trek Picard. Sato, with the blessing of the Federation leadership, agrees to the terms. The USS Omega is constructed to bring hope to what remains of the Federation. Aboard Daystrom Station, the Queen accesses the specimen and resurrects James T. Kirk in his prime. Meanwhile, Klingons who have chosen to walk the Black Path as opposed to the Red Path, which has become a path of peace, they instead have embraced their old warlike ways and vow to bring about the end of the Federation. To be continued. Wow.
Yep.
What a story.
Holy cow. Holy
Yeah.
cow. I had no idea what I was in for.
No. No, me neither.
That isn't really a complaint. I had no idea where this was going. Of course, I had the spoiler that Kirk was going to be in it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know why. Honestly, when Agnes showed up, I literally was sitting at my desk and I threw my arms in the air and went, yes! Because I spent almost a whole season of Picard not liking Agnes Girardi, and then finally understanding her, and then she gets shortchanged at the end. And it's just, made me very, very, very angry at season 2. Of course, season 2 overall just made me angry. Season 2 of Picard. But I was absolutely thrilled that she was being involved in this. And for that reason alone, I would continue to read this comic. But there are so many other reasons why. I want to know all the lineage of Captain Sato, because it looks like a little Vulcan. And obviously he's part Andorian. And what else is going on in there? So, yeah, he's 900 years from the Sato we know, the Lily Sato we know. So it's fascinating. And I appreciate that he's the one that's like, no, we're not going to roll over and just die. We're not doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. I, like you, didn't know what to expect from this at all. And every page I turned, I was just like, I am into this. Like, the artwork, the story, the characters, like, I want to know more about every single one of these characters. Captain Sato, for sure. His first officer, Wowie, I guess is their name. Trill. I just flipped to a page, and yeah, there's Trill in Sato's makeup as well there, right? So yeah, and then this Klingon crew member as well we meet towards the end, and I don't know if she's rooming with this other officer, if they're just, but Hannah is this other officer, and there's some interesting interplay between them. She's reading a letter from someone. We're not sure.
Not sure.
Yeah, they're setting up a lot of really interesting things here. Not the least of which, of course, is what Agnes Queen Girardi, I don't know how we address her at this point, what she's up to with resurrecting Kirk. Her dialogue there, or her monologue there, I guess, is really interesting as well. Talking about, God made man in his image, but I hear you met God once and came out on top. Things have gotten bad out there, and we don't need some Starfleet stuffed shirt who thinks he's living at the end of history. We need you. And the reveal of Kirk being resurrected. The interesting thing is, kind of flying in the face of my expectations, the resurrection of Kirk is kind of the thing I'm the least excited about in this series. Like, I'm really excited about the rest of it, and I'm excited about that as well, but like, I'd be just as fascinated even without that plot point. And I mean, who knows where they're going to go with it? Like, I'm sure it's going to be really fascinating, but like, it didn't even need that hook for me to just really dig this story.
Agree completely. I am one of those kids that has watched Star Trek all of their life, and I have never been a James T. Kirk fan until Paul Wesley played the character. No disrespect. I know that were it not for the Holy Trinity of Spock, Bones, and McCoy, we wouldn't have everything that we have. Spock, Jim, and McCoy. Excuse me. Good grief, Brandi. Get your name straight. We wouldn't have everything that we have today. I know that. But at the same time, most of the time, James Kirk is just kind of boring to me. It's a terrible thing to say. I'm sorry. But it's just the way I feel. And because I'm just a diehard Spock girl. I was always in it for the Spock first and foremost. And basically that's continued to this day. I'm in it for the Spock. But I'm actually interested to see what they're going to do with him. I'm interested to see in how he's going to be used. And the thing about James Kirk is that he knows when to abandon the script. He knows when you need to take a left turn, when everything else is telling you to stay the course. That's what he is best at, is reading these kind of situations and coming up with an unorthodox solution. And I think that is why Agnes went for him.
Yeah, she recognizes that something about this moment, like he will meet the moment, he will be what they need, I think. And I look forward to seeing how that plays out for sure. Yeah, I don't mean to say that I'm not excited for Kirk to be in this. I
know. But there's so much other stuff going on. There's so
much
cool.
other stuff. Yeah. I love the idea of them building this ship and going out there and giving hope to the Federation. You know, will we find out that, like, the only reason Admiral Vance and his group still have some semblance of the Federation when Discovery finds them is because of the efforts of these people here? Like, there's so many different ways this story could go. I saw a review of this issue online where somebody was comparing it to, like, the Ultimate Universe in Marvel or the Absolute Universe in DC, where, like, it's so far removed from what we know that, like, it's basically an empty playground and they can kind of do whatever with it. Right. And, that initial bit where we find out, like, the galaxy is united for all intents and purposes. But for the Gorn, right. I was just like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And that's an amazing thing to think about. And then, you know, when the fleet is almost completely wiped out and we have that meeting of the captains, like there's a Kazon captain, there's like all these species that, you know, I don't know, it's just really cool to see. I think that's beautiful.
It is. I really liked that.
Oh man, it filled me with, like, a sense of wonder I haven't gotten from Star Trek in a while. And that sounds like I'm indicting Star Trek. I'm not, but it's just like that particular sense of, like, whoa, this is something totally new and unexpected, you know? I appreciate that.
I did too. And I think actually that this is a really smart place to put this tale, because Discovery gave us 930 years in the future. And there's a lot of wiggle room in that amount of time from, you know, like Voyager, Lower Decks era, etc., to Discovery season 3. There are so many things they can fill in. And I was actually really excited to find out that they were going to focus on the direct aftermath of the burn. I want that story. I want to know about that. And I'm not usually the kind of person that's like, oh, I've already seen how it all works out. I don't necessarily need to see how it starts. No, I want to see how all of this starts. I want to see what they do. I want to see how Kirk fits in. I am on board 100%.
Definitely. And yeah, there's so many possibilities for the Kirk character as well in this. They just recently released the solicitations for December, which would be issue number 3 of The Last Starship. And one of the bonus covers you can get, it's just Kirk in a turbolift surrounded by 4 Klingon Starfleet officers all around him. And he's just kind of like this. And they're all just, like, standing facing forward. Like, I love that. I ordered that version, that cover, because I was like, I want that. That's beautiful.
That is amazing. I love it.
The USS Omega, interestingly, I know you've said you're not into Star Trek Online. I'm not anymore either, but they've actually worked with the people of Star Trek Online, and they're introducing that ship into the game as well. So
I knew that. Yeah.
There's excitement around this series, and I like to see it. And I hope people give it a shot and read it, because it's certainly off to a really cool start, and it needs eyes on it for sure.
It does. It's going to be worth your time, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess last thing to talk about, these Klingons at the end. I guess we have to have an antagonist besides just the conditions of the burn. What is going on with they've got a cleave ship and a bunch of other stuff, and yeah, they're going back to the old ways.
Did that really work for them? I mean, Honestly, it's like, let's go back to the old ways. Does that ever sound like a good idea? No, because
No.
guess what? The good old days never existed.
Nope.
This whole, make America great again thing, that time period they want to take us back to, it never existed. This is a tool of fascism. And it's just this whole thing, this idea of going back to the old ways, it's not going to do you any favors, guys. And you're going to get just more in trouble than you want to. So guys, just turn around. Don't go down the black path. Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But they're gonna.
Yeah, I'm afraid so. I also, so I guess final thoughts and all of that stuff. I loved the final transmissions from each of the ships. That was heartbreaking.
It killed me. It killed me.
And then the final one from the USS Enterprise.
My heart hurt. Yeah. I was, after reading that, I had to take a minute before continuing with the comic.
No.
So, because, empathy turned up to 11. So, we didn't do ratings for this one.
No, I'm getting to it.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, this one is my top pick for the month for sure. I love this issue. I'm just like so eager to get the next one, which won't be till November now. We don't get part 2 next month, which makes me sad. But
Me too.
This one, I'm going to give just one killer entry by the Borg Queen into Starfleet headquarters. Like, that was beautiful. It's time to fulfill a promise. And she just descends from the ceiling. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say the same thing. So we'll just both have the same rating, because that's exactly, he says, one Agnes Borg Queen coming into and saying, hey, it's time for me to do my thing.
Awesome. Did you have any other final thoughts you wanted to share for this one? Or?
Honestly, it was just one of those that I had to read twice, because the first time I was going through it so fast, like, I have to know what happens, what's happening. And then I went back and reread it, and with more patience, of course, because now I know how, that issue's going to end. And so now I can relax and go back and really dive in and look at every single thing on the page. And it was even better the second time. It's one of those that's just going to grab you by the face and shake you around and say, you must read this. And I'm so excited for the next issue.
Oh, me too. Well, with that said, like I mentioned, unfortunately, next month, we aren't getting the next issue to this, but we are still getting 4 new issues of Star Trek comics in October. Yeah. So, yeah, October 1st brings us Star Trek Red Shirts number 3. And then 1 week later, Star Trek Lower Decks number 12. A week after that, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, The Seeds of Salvation number 2. We're getting back to that story. And then on the 22nd, Star Trek Voyager Homecoming number 2. So still lots of Star Trek to talk about next month. And then in November, we get back to the Last Starship with 5 issues coming out that month. Good Lord.
Holy cow. That's going to be an 1.5-hour podcast.
Yes, at least. But it's worth it, I think.
Absolutely. No complaints here.
Definitely. Well, I guess all that's left is to say, Brandi, thank you so much for joining me this week. I really, really appreciate it. This month, I should say. You've got a couple of podcasts going on. Or Boldly Go, I guess, is probably on pause now because Strange New Worlds is off. But Shield Podulation is still going strong. What's up next in that realm? He says with a smirk, knowing what's next.
You're such a dork. But I love you. Well, the most recent episode that we did was actually Prodigy, season 1, episode 3, Starstruck. And we did that a day early because convention. And the next one that came up is unfortunately the one I have been dreading since we started the podcast. And it is Star Trek Into Darkness, which I feel is the worst Star Trek thing I have ever seen. And I know that there are a lot of people who like it, and I am glad that you do. I am glad that it exists for you and that you can enjoy it. I don't have a qualm with the Kelvin universe stuff at all. I actually really enjoy Star Trek. Star Trek. Oh my gosh, the third one, Beyond. I knew it was a B word, and for some reason I wanted to say a different word, and I just. It's not fun to have ADHD, guys. I really do enjoy that one. It's got its problems too. I mean, everything has its little problems, and I don't think. I mean, it's still Star Trek. I'm not going to say it's not Star Trek. It's still Star Trek. But Into Darkness is the bane of my existence. And the first time I tried to watch it, I couldn't even get through more than 15 minutes at a time. So it took me 3 weeks to watch it.
Ooh. Well, you've got a deadline this time.
Yeah, no, I know. And Dave, unfortunately, has to watch it with me because he's my co-host. My husband is my co-host. So, but the amount of swearing that I did when I found out what that number correlated to on the spreadsheet, yeah, I was not a happy camper. But again, gonna get through it, and then I never have to watch it again.
I'm excited to hear you talk about it. I'm curious if there'll be anything that you take out of it that you actually ended up enjoying. So
there are a few things that I actually do enjoy. Very, very few, but there are things. Most of it, I'm just like, what were you thinking? So, but that's just me.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to that episode. So if you haven't already, go subscribe to Shield Pudulation. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy listening to it. So
thank you, Dan, because it's really inspired by you.
Must be why I love it so much. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's a love letter to you, Dan.
Aw.
Because you let us use that format. You let us use the spreadsheet that you made.
No, the two of you talking about Star Trek is so much fun to listen to, honestly.
Well, thank you. We have a good time. And since Dave is not as diehard a fan as I am, he often has insights that I don't. So it's and besides, I feel safe podcasting with my husband, so it's one of the easiest things in the world for me to do.
Nice. I love the perspectives that both of you bring to it. So.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind.
Well, thank you so much for joining me on this podcast. We'll have to do it again in a month and talk about these next 4 issues. So
Sweet.
To everyone out there listening and watching, thank you for joining us. Live long and prosper. And as always, stay positive. Positively Trek is produced and edited by me, Dan Gunther, and co-produced by Barry DeFord on Treaty 8 territory, the home of the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people, whose histories, languages, and cultures we respect. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations.
See you